Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the AAHOA Regional virtual experience. This has been a great event so far. Thank you all to our exhibitors for participating in our trade show and to all of you taking time out to be with us today. I'm Danny Patel, Arkansas Regional Director. I'm honored to serve you as your Regional Director. It is a privilege to work on your behalf and to advocate for intimacy and issues AAHOA is facing constantly and working towards it. I would like to thank our sponsor, Chase and RLH Corporation. Their support means so much to our association, and we are so grateful for their partnership. Here is a message from Chase.
At Chase, we are committed to the well-being and safety of our customers, our employees, and our community. We're here for you when you need us, whether it's providing best practices, professional consultation, or business tools and resources.
All right, we have breaking news now. World Health Organization has just declared coronavirus a pandemic at this point.
RLH Corporation is an innovative hospitality company focused on the franchising of 8 brands from upscale boutique to economy hotels. They emphasize the maximizing return on invested capital for their nearly 1,000 hotel owners across North America through relevant brands, industry-leading technology, and forward-thinking brand services. RLH Corporation thanks AAHOA for being a major industry partner and providing our hotel owners and operators with an association where hotelier voices matter and imperative resources are readily available.
Your involvement is a key to our success. Our officers, our board, and our ambassadors are all volunteers. I would like to recognize our Arkansas regional ambassadors. They work tirelessly to support AAHOA in our region. Anil Naran, Anil Patel, Dennis Poti, Hiren Jeta, Cal Gandhi, Komal Kim Patel, Mehul Mike Patel, Narendra Krusikar, Parimala Desai, Parth Patel, Prabha Poti, Vitesh Patel. Thank you to all of our ambassadors and for all that you do for our region. Now let's take a moment to review our regional performance. As you can see, Arkansas region has 477 paid members, 268 lifetime members. I encourage you and urge you to network to join or renew your membership, AAHOA's membership. Hoteliers are struggling right now, and we need to rely on each other more than ever. If you have a friend or family member who is not yet a member of AAHOA, please help them out. Encourage them to become a member today and take advantage of all the resources that AAHOA offers. As a member, as a reminder, AAHOA membership is free for those of you who own RLH Corporation or G6 franchise. Also, if you or your fellow hotelier is the Wyndham franchise owner who has never been an AAHOA member, you too are eligible for free membership. This year, our region has raised about $1,455 AAHOA pack. If you have not yet donated to our pack, you can do it right now securely through AAHOA.com or here at our regional by visiting the information desk. Your support is greatly appreciated. Here are the names of those who have donated to the AAHOA pack. We are grateful for your support. AAHOA support candidates who support small businesses, and more specifically, hoteliers. And here are the candidates that AAHOA PAC is supporting in our region. We work best when we work together. I'm proud of what we have accomplished, especially in the face of this pandemic. I'm grateful for your support and your participation, especially all of you who update your property data through myahoa.com. When you update your property information, it helps us help you, such as when we are talking with brands, vendors, or elected officials. It helps us paint a more complete picture of your influence as a job creator and leaders in a business and in your community. We also need your emails and phone numbers, and be sure to opt in to receive the latest news, update, and special deals. Please take a minute today, update your property information through myahoa.com and help us be better advocates for you and best communication with you. We have several important events coming up, including additional regionals. So log into myahoa.com every day to find out new events to attend, even virtually. We have added new ones every day. I'm looking forward to see a great year. Please join me in welcoming Nimisha Patel, a female director, Western Division, for an update on our woman hotelier.
I am Nimisha Patel, your AAHOA Female Director, Western Division. At AAHOACon 20, we took a moment to celebrate the ways women, especially the women of AAHOA, have a history of building up.
Do we have a video?
But women don't just help women. We speak up in support of hotel owners across the country. Women hoteliers meet the members of Congress, legislative staff, and state representatives during the Legislative Action Summit and Capitol Hill Days in states across the country in order to share in real terms how policies affect small business owners. We fundraise for AAHOA PAC because we understand the importance of making sure Congress is made up of pro-business leaders.
Well, we have a technical difficulty, looks like.
And in the
I would
midst
like to move on.
We continue to give back. We pay it forward. We help the next generation of hoteliers. We prepare
well, I'm
holiday
pleased to welcome our next guest who will join me as a part of our panel to discuss the 2020 state of the lodging industry
this is a
and
strange
top
season,
issues in our
and
region.
It has inspired us all to stop and think about what's really important and the kinds of leaders we want to be. Until business is back to normal, I've been thinking a lot about how I can invest in myself and my team to become as strong as I can be. And I'm so thankful for the endless resources AAHOA has for me, whether I'm in the office or enjoying a moment at peace and quiet at 5:30 a.m. If you've been thinking about this too, this idea of taking some time to invest in you, I hope you'll join me. I've thought about this in a few ways, all free, all things I can do on my own schedule at my own pace. For example, taking a 20-minute AAHOA webinar every day between now and New Year's Eve. I want to be more informed about leadership and human resources, and AAHOA has more than 40 different classes on that topic, all free and in a format that fits my schedule. or perhaps earning my CHO, which stands for Certificate in Hotel Ownership. I want to make sure my skills are sharp and that my business has a competitive edge it needs to succeed despite tough times like this. The all-new CHO covers 12 main areas of hotel ownership, and the fact that I can take all of this online and pick the classes that are right for me is really great. Or maybe even having my team take the AAHOA P&G's Professional Training in Hotel Sanitation and Cleanliness, the latest training certificate program offered from AAHOA Hotel Owners Academy for hotel owners and their staff, and it's 100% free. As travel resumes, we want our customers to feel confident and comfortable when they choose to stay at our properties. This small step will make a big difference. I think I'll start by taking some human resources classes and really getting my staff involved. I hope you'll join me this season in choosing your own ways to invest in yourself because you deserve it. 3 takeaways, which will be listed on the slides. Choose to invest in yourself and your teams. Join me in choosing one way to invest in yourself and your teams between now and New Year's Eve. Update your AAHOA profile, making sure you have your unique email address and cell phone number on file. And update your My AAHOA subscriptions to make sure you receive important updates about what women hoteliers of AAHOA are doing.
Thank you, Nimisha. Now we will hear from Miraj Patel, Young Professional Director, Western Division, for an update on the next generation of hoteliers.
Hello, young professional hoteliers. My name is Miraj Patel, your AAHOA Young Professional Director, Western Division. The people on Capitol Hill and in state legislatures across the country might understand on a theoretical basis what we are going through. Sure, people aren't traveling as much these days, and the hospitality industry must be feeling it, but the message really hits home when we put numbers in front of them. This is where you come in. You may have heard this before. AAHOA is asking you to update your property data. It would have been helpful then, but it is absolutely very critical now. We need to paint a clear picture of what America's hotel owners are going through. That means the number of hotels, the number of jobs, the number of tax dollars governments will not see because of the decline in travel. This year, we elected a new Congress, and the fact of the matter is that we will most likely need to educate a new class of leaders about our hospitality industry. We will need to tell them the success of our industry is not only important to our own businesses, but it has a ripple effect through our local economies and our country. Plain and simple, the most effective way to hit that point home is with numbers. They are not just going to take our word for it. Dozens of other industries will also be clamoring for their attention, but we can prove it if we have the numbers. To those of you who have already provided your property data, thank you. To those of you who have provided some, but not all your properties, or to those of you who have been meaning to for a while now, it is not too late. This is the perfect time to take this small step that will make a big difference. AAHOA has been investing in technology to make the benefits of membership accessible wherever you are. My AAHOA, the exclusive member portal, is your one-stop shop. It is where you can update your property information. It is also where you, as a young professional, can indicate that you want to receive the news and information that is most relevant to young professionals. By completing your profile and updating your preferences, you can customize your entire AAHOA experience so that it reflects you and the business you run. Last but not least, it is also where you can make a PAC contribution today. I know and understand it seems like a tall order to ask you to contribute to the AAHOA PAC in the middle of a pandemic. But here's why making a contribution today in any amount that is right for you is the best decision you can make. PAC funds give AAHOA the power to influence decision-making at the state and federal levels by speaking the language of politics, money. PAC funding allows AAHOA to strengthen its existing political relationships and forge new partnerships with the political power brokers of the future. You would be amazed by how a dollar a day goes. Help AAHOA fight for you. With our industry in trouble, we need strong political relationships now more than ever. We can do this. Thank you, and I hope to see you all very soon. Be well and be safe.
Thank you. Thank you, Miraj. I'm pleased to welcome our next guest who will join me as a part of the panel to discuss the 2020 state of the lodging industry and top issues in our region. Please join me in welcoming our panelists, Ms. Montine McNulty, CEO, Arkansas Hospitality Association, Parth Patel, President, Development, WIPA Hospitality, and Komal Kim Patel, Principal, Lotus Hospitality Services, and me as a moderator for the panel. Thank you guys for joining me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Danny.
So guys, thanks again for joining me and our team. I would like to start with Ms. Montine. So if Ms. Montine, if you can answer some, how important are your relationships today with leaders, employees, brands, lawmakers? Are any of your relationship helping you get today much needed relief right now?
The answer to that is yes. I can't think of anything more important to the work that we have to do than relationships. And it's always been my job to develop relationships, whether it's on the federal level, the state level, the local level. But most important, I think, are the relationships that we all have. And that's how we're successful. It's not with one person, but it's with everybody feeling like they're important and their relationships matter, because that's true. But think about this with COVID, and we're not going to have the ability to be up close to elected officials. Everything is going to be done at a distance. And so relationships even become more important. And Danny, like was emphasized, the contact information for members, but our partnership with AAHOA is so important because numbers do matter when legislators are contacted. They want to hear from you. They need to hear from you. And we're going to be successful as partners. But relationships are right there at the top of the list. But you need to pay attention to the requests for your information. You need to get the telephone numbers of your elected officials and turn them in, because that's what will help your business and guarantee success.
Thank you, Ms. Montine. Same thing, Como. If I were to ask you today, how important are your relationships today with your lenders, employees, brands, lawmakers? Are any of your relationships helping you get much needed relief today?
I mean, I'm going to echo on what Ms. Montine said. It's pretty much not because of a pandemic that we need to realize that our relationships are important. Our relationships are important before a pandemic, after a pandemic, even in a good economy, in a bad economy. That's part of our business. That's part of what we do. That's part of our hospitality, is to have good relationships. And that's with everybody that we come in contact with whether it be our brand, whether it's our bankers, whether it's just our congressmen, or even our state chamber or our local chamber, and even our city elected officials. All of those relationships are important prior to the pandemic. And if those relationships are in place, even before this, then obviously we're able to still keep those relationships going at a time where we can't really be face to face, and we're having to do everything, via phone or Zoom calls or things like that. So I'm a big believer in just, making friends, keeping friends, and always, having everybody at your side. I mean, everybody is there to help you and as you are to help them, but we can't do that if we don't have mutually respectful relationships.
Yeah. Parth, let me ask you another question. What is your message you're giving to the lawmakers and state leaders about the need to allow businesses to operate as long as they do it safely? Are they asking for industry policies and procedures, and how are the lawmakers reacting to the dire forecast of our industry?
Well, that's a good question, Danny. And back when the pandemic started back in March, we were hit with such a brick wall, right? And then the governor enacted our emergency travel ban, which really hurt hospitality industry across the state. So our message at that time was, we need to look at reopening the state as quick as possible to allow out of state travel. But then we've had this consistent message the whole time, right? And I think that message has been giving our individual stories to the lawmakers, telling them how we may have been affected in our local communities or our markets have been affected in terms of loss of occupancy, loss of business, and that's what I think has helped. This week, as we all know, is it just started Monday, the hospitality grant program, and I think our stories and reaching out to our respective lawmakers has helped make that come into fruition.
Right. So, Komal, another question for you. What's your biggest worry for the remainder of 2020? And follow that up with what gives you some hope for 2021, knowing that there are a lot of unknowns around what we are dealing with currently.
I mean, I'd be remiss if I said that, this COVID-19 pandemic is not my biggest worry, right? It's 2020. What are we worried about right now? It's the end of the year, and we're still worried about this pandemic and how it's decimating our industry. And it's continuing to do so well into this fourth quarter. So what you asked me this question, in first quarter, I was worried about the pandemic. You asked me in the last quarter, I'm still worried about the pandemic, in addition to just the negative effects of fourth quarter, what fourth quarter really happens for, travel industry in Arkansas. So, that is worrisome, but the only thing that I can really cling on to hope for, and I'm not a medical professional by any means, but I have to cling on to this vaccine that's coming out, because I don't know, that anything else other than a vaccine is going to actually magically save our industry. Occupancy is down, ADR is down, obviously, due to that, RevPAR is down. And it may have come up a little, but it's still not at levels that we can sustain ourselves, that, Arkansas is really sustainable at this point. So what I think is that once people actually start traveling again, whether it be for travel, whether it's for, business travel or corporate travel or just, tourism in general, until people feel comfortable getting in a plane or driving 10 hours to get wherever they need to go, we're not going to start filling these hotels. So the vaccine is what I look forward to, and that, the release of the vaccine and it being a successful release. And then we can go to, I don't know if there's going to be any real normalcy. There's going to be a new normal, but we can go back to, easing our tensions and easing our anxiety as we walk around, in the world today.
Yeah. Ms. Montaigne, at the state level, or possibly local level, what are you seeing as the biggest challenge on the regulatory sides, and where, if anywhere, has government stepped up to be helpful?
Well, I think our industry has had the best ride of any industry during this pandemic. We've had more support than most, and we've got to work to continue that. This $50 million grant's great. We've got to have more coming. So we've got to work on that at the same time that we're working on other things like how to get visitors to want to come to Arkansas. You know, we're a drive-to state. We're not a state that people really fly to a lot. They come maybe for conventions and things like that, but we are a very popular drive-to state. And we're going to have to ramp up. And I know the Department of Parks and Tourism is doing that right now, getting ready for an advertising campaign, because we do have the outdoors, the safe places for people to be, and we're going to have to promote ourselves really well to get things going. But we're going to have to keep looking for funding and support, because it's going to be a while. The vaccine is going to be the help, but it's going to take a while for it all to get going at the same time. So we can't stop looking for help to keep businesses alive.
Yes, that's a good one. Yes, ma'am. And we thank you for all your help in this $50 million grant and all the hospitality associations coming together, partnering. So we thank you for that. Como, let's take a look at labor. In good times, it is tough to retain top talent. What are you doing to keeping your employees engaged and hopeful? What are your biggest labor issues you are facing right now?
Well, I'll start with that one backwards. I feel like the biggest labor issues that we had to deal with throughout this year has been, working against the unemployment. You know, we're our state is pretty, it's pretty aggressive in our minimum wage anyway. We're at $10. We're about to go to 11. But when you're getting unemployment at $15, and you can stay home and not worry about having to clean rooms or coming into contact with people, and maybe exposing yourself to COVID-19 or the risk of it, that's hard for us to even try to compete with. It's not just even the money part of it, but it's just the hesitancy of coming to work and putting yourself and your family at risk. Those have been some like large issues that we've had to face with labor. Luckily, I have to say, I have some really good staff that have been with me through the thick and the thin. And, they've kind of ride this wave with us. And I mean, we've been together, we've worked side by side, and just having that mutually respectful relationship has allowed them to, at that point, their heart is invested in their job. It's not just a job to them, it is family to them. And, we've had more meetings than I think we've ever had. We've had them this year, just due to all the different legislation that's coming out, or, the different brand standards, or just different ways that we want our hotels to be guest ready. And we want our employees to maintain safety and standards to keep themselves safe, to keep our, guests safe, the remaining employees safe. So I think having those employee meetings, or more of them, they've actually been good. It's been a place where everybody can be in the same place and kind of get it off their chest, what they're seeing or what they're having to deal with. And then within those meetings, obviously we've done some team building exercises just to make them fun, because right now the world is so monotonous and it's so high anxiety and everybody's on edge. It's okay. Like, we painted pumpkins in October. Like, we did things just to do as a family together. And I feel that a lot of the employees enjoyed that, and it helped them to, just realize, we're going to get through this too. This will all pass eventually.
Thank you. Parth, for you, the same question. You guys have a large hospitality group. What you see, the challenges you face during this time in labor?
Well, I like to echo the same thing Kim said. From the start of the pandemic, it was difficult to really compete with the unemployment, especially from the federal side when the $600 a week kicked in. Because approximately, your average employee was getting in the state of Arkansas close to about $1,000 a week when you put together the state unemployment and the federal unemployment. We were coupled with challenges because starting from mid-March to mid-May, we had to shut down a few of our properties, so we had to furlough quite a bit of employees, which we were lucky enough to get a lot of them hired back. But then some people that really had either babysitting issues or their kids are going to virtual school. Um, some of them may not have come back. So it's been a challenge, it's been a challenge. And then it's also been a challenge where when an employee does leave or quits or whatever, it's been a lot harder to rehire and to rehire that person. It's taken a lot longer to find a good, capable candidate to replace people as well, I feel like.
Okay. Parth, I'll ask you another question on banking. Looking at the banking and financing, have you have restructured your loan? Are your lenders working with you? What are your biggest needs right now on the lender side? Do you expect to see more foreclosure in coming market or coming days?
Well, I can answer. So two parts or two answers for me personally. Our company, we have a CMBS loan over a couple of our properties, and then we have, traditional bank loans. We really haven't restructured too much of our loans, except we were fortunate with some of our local lenders here in the state that they did give us 6 months deferment, which now is ended as of September. And they're unwilling to really do much more as of right now, unless I can build a big case of, I need X amount of more months of deferment. So that's been kind of difficult. The 6 months was nice. However, I feel like post holidays it might be a pretty long winter until spring comes about, especially in hot springs. The big unknown here is I'm pretty sure Oak Lawn will not be allowing in our market. Oak Lawn will not be allowing any spectators in Oak Lawn, and so if that's the case, then there goes our first quarter of next year. Because that's the only reason mainly people come down in March or March through April on the weekends. A lot of people just come down mainly for the races. So if that doesn't happen, then the banks will have to do something. Now on the CMBS side, Danny, CMBS, I mean, if you guys have been hearing CMBS, those lenders haven't been doing anything. They don't want to really work with you. They don't really want to give you any forbearance. It's pretty much you have to pay or, you know, you have to try to keep them the money going to them, or they want to use words about foreclosure and this and that. So it's been difficult. I wish these lenders would take a more proactive approach, because we're in an unprecedented pandemic. None of us have been part of this ever, and I doubt we ever will see something like this again in our lifetime. So um, I wish lenders would be more flexible, but unfortunately, they're not.
Okay. Miss Montaigne, looks like the election is almost over now. We have 10-year window of growth that has come to a halt suddenly. What are your preparations for the future as a state?
Well, I think the biggest challenge is going to be as soon as things settle down in DC to get going on a federal program, because that's where real help needs to come from, and we need to get all over that as soon as possible. Hopefully things will settle down so they can be serious about it, but there needs to be a very serious financial program, particularly for the hotel industry, who cannot last a whole year without customers and without financing. And you did nothing to start this pandemic, and you need to be helped. So I think that's number one on the thing. I think we're going to have to work on those relationships, and we're going to have to keep telling the story. Because you're right, we were an industry on top, saying the best months and the best year that we'd had in a long time, and you look really forward to the future. And this is really an unfortunate thing. I do want to mention one program that I know you've heard of before, but I understand that they've done some improvements to the Main Street program, and it may be something to look at, because they've changed the requirement from 250,000 to you can borrow as little as 100,000. And there's some other things that are going to be done to try to make that palatable too, because some people are going to need additional money just to make it through the next few months, either coming from the federal government or someplace else. So we have to keep looking for resources and ways to keep businesses alive. The employment issue will continue. This is not unique to our industry. Everyone is having a problem with employees, but we've got to, long term, we've got to have more pride in what we do more training with your staff, do what Kim's doing, have more group meetings and make them feel a part of your business and be a part of your team. But best of all of us in this industry, we're a really big industry. We're important to the state of Arkansas. We've got to tell that story over and over again and keep developing relationships, and we'll get there.
Now, Kim, how will the industry change from COVID-19? And related to that, what element of the hotel experience do you truly think can change to the benefit of the owners with little impact to the guest service or satisfactions? Unmute yourself. Kim, you're mute. Can you?
Okay, sorry.
There you go.
Sorry. So you asked me, how is COVID-19 going to change our industry? It's already changed our industry. It's not even about how is it going to change it going forward. It's already changed it. Now it's up to us within our industry to kind of harness that change and allow it to come in rather than resist it. I really feel like that this pandemic is allowing us to, create some efficiencies where we have been inefficient. Everything just kept on growing and growing and adding more and more. And we offer this, the next brand offers that, and the next brand offers 3 times of all that. And it got excessive. It's too much. And I believe that, all that stuff needs to be drawn back. And, you're saying, how can we do it in a way that's not going to be impactful to guests? But there really is no way for it to not be impactful to guests. It's all about how you market it to guests. It's all about the growing pains with it. Guests might be upset, like right now, when, we didn't have breakfast for a little while, and then maybe you just had coffee and they were upset that you were just having coffee, and then you threw in, a Danish that's prepackaged, and that's still not what they're used to because they want something buffet style. All it is teaching them. And I think our industry needs to take this opportunity to retrain our customers on what their expectations should be when they come into a hotel that's a mid-scale economy hotel, or if they come into an economy class hotel or whatever. Don't expect to have all these things that maybe you have had before. I think it's time to reset, and let's draw that back. And we need to use this time to make these changes and then market it. It's just the way the airlines marketed everything and trained their customers to, hey, book 6 weeks in advance if you want to get a good rate. If you're going to wait to the last minute, you're not going to get the seat that you want, or you're not going to get it. It's going to cost $300 more, or whatever it is. It's all about how they enabled their guests to understand their industry and they train them into those booking patterns. We, as a hotel industry, need to train our customers into what we need them to see rather than just availing everything that they want to the cost of the owner operator, because not necessarily the brand is getting the brunt end of that. So we really do need to take a telescopic look at what we're doing here, and or microscopic look at what we're doing here actually, and let's make some changes that are going to help us all grow and go forward.
Okay. Parth, I will ask you a question on that. What are your current strategies? Are you building new properties, focusing on operations today, or looking for a distressed property for acquisition? What are your strategy for next 12 to 18 months? What are you trying to do?
That's a good question. Us personally, we're trying to focus on operations, trying to focus on, on sales efforts that might be more like non-traditional sales. Just because corporate travel isn't happening, so you have to try to fill in the room somehow, whether it's maybe through other means. It's difficult, right? Because your group travel isn't happening as much, and coach and tour and all that. So you have to just try to go in your market and just try to see what's out there. And it's a difficult thing right now because sports teams aren't traveling as much. Some schools are doing sporting events and some aren't. As far as colleges, I know most high schools are doing athletic events. For us, we're not building anything new right now. Of course, maybe if an opportunity comes along during this time, we may consider looking at something, but it has to be the right opportunity. But then again, the opportunity may be there and then the lending may not be there. So that's another issue to that. So that, I think what we're trying to do is focus on our properties right now, and then maybe if something comes along the way, it might come along the way. But there's a lot of challenges to even adding distressed assets because there's a kind of a technical freeze on lending right now also.
Okay. Como, I will ask you another questions. As you know, the winter months are coming in. What is your message to the lawmaker or state leaders going forward for the industry policies, and how you react with the policies and lawmakers? What is the message for them?
The message is still the message it was before the winter months. It's not any different. It's the same message that we've been passing along. It's telling our story and telling our story that, we've made it this far. We weren't when this all happened in March, I don't know that anybody expected it to last this long. Everybody was hopeful. Maybe they knew in the back of their mind that it might, but everybody was hopeful that, okay, maybe by summer things will start to, become more normal, and, we'll still be able to have a regular summer. Okay, summer went and is come and gone, and now, maybe it'll still come back. No, it's not. It's not. So the thing is, our story is still the same story. All it is that we're just compounding the days now and letting our legislators know that, hey, I've talked to every single one of my legislators so many times since March to now. More times than I can count on my hands, and the thing is, they are never tired to hear from you. I know, like, it can get defeating for us sometimes to have to keep repeating the same story, or to even follow up with them to say, hey, I'm still here and I'm still hurting, and my hotels are still empty and my employees are worried about their jobs. This was a time that they should be thinking about getting raises, but the best thing I can offer them is, hey, you can keep your job right now. That's about all I can offer you. This is where we're at, and this is This is what our legislators need to know. And they're being bombarded from so many different angles, from so many different industries. We can't afford to like not remind them of what's happening to us. Because when they're not traveling and they're not staying in hotels, they're not really seeing what's happening to us. So we have to get our message out there and we have to remind them. And they are open and they are receptive. We're very lucky to be in Arkansas, to have so many receptive, senators and congressmen that genuinely care about our industry and that genuinely care about small businesses. And they are always willing to listen to what we have to say. Not everybody has it that well. And we do. So let's not take that for granted, but let's keep these people in mind and let them remember us and say, hey, we're still here. We want to do better, but we need your help. And we don't like asking for help. We hate to ask for help, actually. However, we're in an industry that's, adversely affected by, these travel restrictions, not necessarily by our governor, but even by other states that are surrounding us. And that still has an impact on us in Arkansas. And we need your help or else we're not going to get through this. And they do listen. So, I mean, that's the strategy. It was the strategy in March, and it's still the strategy in November, and it'll probably still be the strategy in January. Just keep doing it.
Yes. Ms. Montaigne, what's your biggest worry for the remainder of 2020? And follow up with what gives you some hope for 2021, knowing that there are lots of unknown around what we are dealing with in current situation.
Well, my biggest worry for 2020, and we don't have long before 2020 is over, is that we don't get a control on the virus and it just continues to escalate, which will be a problem not only for our industry but everybody. So that's my biggest problem, because we've gotten some state funding. We've still got to build the case and move to the federal. But next year, in addition to the funding, and I would encourage everybody to go to the state's website, arkansas.com, and look at what's being advertised, where is there opportunity for you, because this is the state website. And you need to make sure that your business is represented there just like everybody else's. And pay attention to their advertising and what they're doing, because this is your state dollars at work. And make sure you're there. But next year, we need to make sure we get a good federal package that pays attention to hotels and the dire need for the long haul. And, those are my biggest worries. I think our legislature, and when you think about it, our governor he's term limited out. So he's going to have a little different relationship with the legislators. But he's done a really good job for our industry, but he's going to need our support in a lot of ways, because he's going to face more opposition getting things done. He wants to drop the top income tax rate, and then the head of finance wants to drop the lowest income tax rate, drop it completely. So there's some opportunities there within the legislative session to do some things for our industry to help along the employment, workers' comp, liability issues, financial issues. So we've got to look at the legislature, see where the opportunities are for marketing all of your businesses that they can help with, and develop relationships. That's the key to the whole thing.
Okay.
We've all got to work together.
That's right. I got one more question. We have a few more minutes, Ms. Montaigne. So if I can ask one more question to you, what is your message you're giving to the lawmakers and the state leader about the need to allow businesses to operate as long as they do it safely? Are they asking for industry policies and procedures, or how are the lawmakers reacting to the dire forecast of our industry?
I would say there are some that would shut down or want to do that. But fortunately, our governor does not want, he's been a great leader for us because he really believes the economy needs to stay open. And hopefully that will happen. But it's going to be a long, it's going to be a long few months to get through this. But we've got to hope that they do not want to shut people down. We've got to keep business going.
That's right. Well, I would like to thank you all for sharing your valuable perspective on our industry. And thank you again, all the members, for joining it. Now, if I can encourage everyone to please head over to our auditorium to hear from our AAHOA officers. Thank you.